So welcome. This is student-led assessment. My name is Chris, and we'll all introduce ourselves in just a couple slides. So the next one, this is a quote that I like to think about when I am just thinking about students and grades and assessment and all that. So the grading system right now is demoralizing and designed to produce winners and losers. The purpose of education is not to sort kids, it's to grow kids. Teachers need to coach and mentor, but with grades, teachers turn into judges. And this is from an article called Will Letter Grades Survive in Edutopia? A lot of good stuff on there. Next slide, Carol. So I want us to kind of think about that quote and ground ourselves as like where we could go. What are the possibilities with student-led assessment? So some essential questions we have for you today. The first main one is, how might we support students in articulating clear qualitative statements about elements of quality in their work? And given our current situation, how can we leverage the expertise and power that already exists in students' homes when thinking about student-led assessment? Brief overview of the day. We are going to open up about 10 minutes. So around 3:10, we're going to try to get you into some co-designing of assessments. We're going to finish up with commitments to practice and then give you some resources and close out. All right, so first thing we'd like you to do, some folks may have done this before, please, you can do this on your phone. You can open a separate window, and in order to do that, you can actually go to the top of your screen, and where you see you're viewing Carol's screen, you can actually minimize that a little bit. You can shrink it to about 50% of the size, so you can search online as well. You're gonna go to menti.com, and you're gonna enter the code, and if you have your phone right next to you, I'd recommend doing that. It's pretty easy too. Enter the code 262266. So before this session, we hopefully got you the message in the calendar invite to think about what assessment strategies exist that are not school related. Not school related. Get school out of your mind. And so once you have that in mind, go here and name what qualities strike you about this type of assessment. I believe there's space for 3 answers, but if you want to add more than that, you can resubmit. So we will do that, and in just a minute, we'll populate that up and see what you guys are saying. So the code, I will drop it into the chat bar, or you can see it right here as well. This is actually great. And this is a really cool tool as well if you've not used Mentimeter before. You can do word clouds. We're going to experiment with another kind of short answer experience toward the end of this time together. But I want us to, just as this is happening, right, pay attention to the words that you're seeing.
This is my first experience with Menti. I really like it.
Right,
you know,
it's cool. Yeah, and as people add, it updates. So it looks like we have 19 people responding.
Reflection, performance, observation. You know, there's definitely some things that are coming out. This is a beautiful little graphic that we have developing here. Feedback, relevance. A lot of personalized qualities that we're noticing already. You know, what's the significance of the students and their experiences with their learning, and you know, these are definitely qualities that can be used to dive into that. Authentic, meaningful, multiple perspectives, personal strengths, iteration.
Oh, yeah. I like that broader purpose and creativity too. Meaning driven.
Yeah. And you know, just looking at this and then thinking back on kind of traditional forms of assessment, you know, like what opportunities do they give to seek some of these qualities that we see in front of us?
Yeah. So looks like most of us have responded here. I want us to just kind of, these words that are popping up, right? Authenticity, growth, observation, reflection, relevance. Keep these in mind as you move into your co-designed assessment, which we are going to in the interest of time, keep moving forward.
Agreement, yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to use that with my students. That was cool.
Yeah, it's great. So the next slide, I think, is where we're going to share a little bit. Oh, yeah, but before we do, we don't want to give you guys all of our ideas without first making note of this idea, which is called the Primal Mark. The first idea matters. Remember, like, this is a space to brainstorm and to go big. And go big on your first idea. There's a lot of research, or there's some research out there that says the Primal Mark, right, this first idea is really like kind of the ceiling. And when we hear it, that kind of limits us. But what we want you to do is look at the resources and the ideas that we've provided to you and use those as a baseline and really shoot to the moon, like go above and beyond what we are giving you here. All ideas are good ideas, and the more ideas we have, the better. So go big and use what we're about to share with you just as a starting place. All right, so just really quick, about try to do this in less than 30 seconds here. I teach 11th grade biology. I use a lot of peer and self-assessments and reflections when I'm thinking about student-led assessment. So let me just make sure I say everything I want to say. Okay, so I use a variety of these, and they're all measured against student-created rubrics. I like to tell students that I'm the third set of eyes on their work. First, it's them, then a peer, then myself. Before starting any project, we determine what qualities would make this our best work through a class brainstorm and by looking at expert models. And then it's transformed into an assessment tool. And this incorporates student voice, gives them agency in assessing their own work. And then I also use surveys as well to gather feedback and for students to assess themselves as well. Carol, take it away.
All right, so hi, I'm Carol King. I teach 9th grade humanities at High Tech High North County, and I also use a lot of surveys and peer assessments, but I also do something called the pride factor. So at the end of projects or during a project or even at the end of something a little bit more traditional, I'll always ask my students how proud of the work they did are they, and I see students are really honest about it. They seem to write a lot more when they're really proud of something. Sometimes they shy away from it when they're not as proud of it. So I really like asking students how proud they are of the work that they are doing. Andrew.
Uh-oh.
I was introducing myself and I am muted. That's who I am. But I'm Angela Lario. I am a 10th grade chemistry teacher at High Tech High Point Loma. When I assess, when I run my class, I typically believe in a process for students to grow and develop that's individualized and personalized for every student. And my role as a teacher is more of a facilitator than an evaluator and disseminator of information. So I facilitate their critique, their feedback. I help them ideate and redesign kind of how they can take an initial draft, realize what they need in order to make it better, acquire those things, then gather the resources and make a second iteration or draft. And as they go through this, there's a question here, how do they get peer assessment? Well, I think that's through protocols. We have them pair up and we run them through kind of almost a design thinking protocol. We could share some of these resources as we get through this. And as they go through this, eventually they reach their voice through reflection and their ability to articulate and engage in dialogical assessment about their work, and their iterations grow through this process as well. So I was doing a rocket project, and their challenge was to develop a graphical representation of the integration of subjects through that. So we have iteration 1, which is kind of like their first version, and iteration 2. And as we've gone through and we learn more material, they're not just assessing their accumulation of knowledge and understandings, they're also assessing their ability to articulate it and voice it and their own signature on that work. And when they get to the final product, that should be representative of work that I think is transformative in a way that it's beautiful for them, and it also moves the teacher in a direction where they consider learning that they might not have considered before as a sole evaluator.
Thank you. And like Andrew said, we are happy to provide the resources that we use and some explanation about what those look like following this presentation. And you'll all receive this slide deck as well. So we are going to move into some co-designing of student assessments, student-led assessments. That's why we're all here. The question is, how can I have students lead the assessment of blank in their work? So remember, think back to that word cloud that we all created. A lot of things came up in there. We had growth. I saw reflection in there. Carol mentioned pride. Andrew mentioned mastery, effort, process, or something else that you might want, a quality that you might want to see, or your students might be able to evaluate in their work. So your challenge then is to design a student-led assessment system or scaffold to support students in thoughtful self-assessment of blank, whatever you choose. Next slide. So Andrew, you want to explain this one a little bit? Is that okay?
I was just responding to.
Oh yeah,
I'm going chat crazy here. All right. So the code design session. So we designed a quick kind of design session for you to get in and not try to come up with something that is an entirety of how to get students to self-assess, but how you can kind of move in that direction, how you can think about one quality of work you can focus on and take a step in a direction for students to have a little bit of agency in their ability to take a snapshot of where they are, what their strengths are, where are their areas of growth, and how they can move forward. So it's just to help you get committed to moving in that direction. And ultimately, you will build a repertoire by going through this process repeatedly.
Great. So this is linked here. Are we going to drop it in the chat box as well? And this is also in the calendar invite that we sent to you. There's a link to the self-assessment design template. What you're going to do is in just a couple seconds, we're going to launch into breakout rooms. Carol's going to get us in there. The protocol is as follows, and actually the facilitator is going to be the person whose name starts first alphabetically. Some suggestions, some introductions, select a quality that you have in common for your work. You're going to do a rapid design of your student self-assessment, and you're going to do this with your random peers and friends, new friends. And then we're going to do some commitments to practice. So as you're thinking about this tool that you're designing, it might not necessarily fit, like the collaborative design that you go through with your team members might not exactly fit for your school, but what's something that you can commit to from that initial 1.0 brainstorming session that you can take back to your school site, and we're going to make some commitments to our practice. All right. Carol, do we want to show them the design template real quick?
Yes.
Before we launch in?
I have finished making these rooms. Those are ready to rock once we are going. And so we're looking at the student self-assessment now. So let me resume the share. So this is the student self-assessment design organizer that you'll be using. So you'll have 2 to 3 other people in the room with you, like Chris said, and this is going to be what you will be working on and filling out together.
Great.
I will also drop this link to it in the chat right there.
Great. All right. Okay. So do we have enough time? I think we have enough time for just about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
so we're
maybe a little less.
Break you up into these rooms now.
Yeah.
And let me put back here.
And then like Randy said, you can choose other to suit your vision as well. So this link right here, authentic student-led assessment change packages. It's probably 8 change packages of different improvement science that teachers went through, and we put into practice just different ideas we had for student-led assessment. So you can see the whole process there. There's 8 different examples, K through 12. And then the last one is an assessment video. It's about 2 minutes long that High Tech High produced with our teachers and students involved in it. Finally, let's see. These are just some helpful questions. You all will receive this slide deck. So these are some questions from that chapter in Hands and Minds. Let's see, we'll go there.
Hello, sorry, my internet went out, but did we send the exit ticket?
We're all still here, but we're gonna send an exit ticket. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
So from here, I'm gonna stop my share. We are gonna drop an exit ticket in the chat window. There we go. Sorry for the tech stuff, but we're getting through there. I see Connie Mitchell has raised a hand. Do you have a question, Connie? So if folks want to just fill out the exit ticket when you see it, Carol just dropped it in the chat box. Please respond to that. Your feedback is what makes this work improve. So we would love to hear from you.
I'm going to head over to the Presentations of Learning workshop.
Awesome.
Starting in a few minutes. Thank you
Great.
all so much. It was so nice to see everybody online.
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
Hi, Randy.
And if folks want to stick around, please do. Otherwise, you are free to go. And thank you so much for being here. We will make sure we get all the resources to you. And we will take any questions if folks want to stick around for a few minutes.
And thank all of you for the work you're doing. You guys are awesome. I mean, teaching is not, as we all knew it, it's different a little now. So, putting in the effort to support the kids, the communities, and the families that you guys are supporting, it's awesome. So as a colleague, I appreciate all of you.
Okay, we've got some hand raising.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, I'm gonna unmute you. You wanna chat with us?
Hi, yes, thank you everyone. I'm just curious, is there like a Twitter handle where I could hashtag or connect with you guys or the community that we're on to celebrate and continue talking? I know usually at Deeper Learning, we all have a hashtag that we can kind of scroll through and see what everyone's got.
That's a great question, and I can shoot Randy a text right now. So hold tight, and I will get you an answer.
Okay, I tried to chat him privately, but he didn't get back to me yet.
I know there's High Tech High, there's High Tech High Deeper Learning, there's
Share Your Learning too.
Share Your Learning. I wonder if there's a Spring Institute one. I mean,
Thanks for checking.
Yeah, I'll get right back to you. Cool.
Does anybody else have questions that maybe we could answer? Yeah.
Hi.
What's up, Krista?
So I work at a public school in Manhattan Beach, and right now they're shifting from letter grades to pass-fail for the lower grades because of online learning, and they want everyone not to be stressed. So they're just wrapping their heads around this now. They've never done that before. So, and my class, Makerspace, doesn't have letter grades. So I'm used to just having kids self-assess and present their work and kind of say what worked and what didn't work. And so I'm just wondering, I really want to get this information to my school, but I'm the only one at my school participating in this. Is it okay for me to share this with my admin, even though they didn't sign up and they didn't ask me for it?
Of course.
Is it okay with you guys if I pass this on to my principal and say, look at this awesome thing that we can really learn from? Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah, two things. One is that sounds like an amazing class. I'd love to be one of your students. And
fun.
the other thing, and if you want to connect with any of us individually, I think our contact information was in the group, and I'll just throw mine in the chat too. If any of you want to shoot me an email, just as colleagues,
I'll put
just
mine
to
in the
chat.
chat also.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to continue the conversation.
Great. Yeah, I think it's so important, especially right now, just getting kids engaged and excited, and self-assessment is so much less stressful for them.
And I think there's an opportunity now more than ever to really kind of rethink some of these things and see how it works. And there's a little bit of leeway to take missteps too. So now's the time to try things out.
Yeah. It's
So,
a great chance to look back and reevaluate everything, right?
Totally, definitely.
Cool.
So Randy says PBL Academy. So for the hashtag PBL Academy.
Yay!
Thank you.
Cool. And I think you're starting it, so. Yeah.
All right, I'll
That's
take
great.
that.
Awesome. Cool. Other questions from folks? We'll probably, yeah, got to close down around 4, but happy to chat via email or take any questions that you have in these last few minutes. Let's see. Jacqueline, hand up is good? Or another question?
Seemed like
I
falling.
think that was.
You're good? Okay, cool.
Came in there for a second.
Great. Any other questions?
Did you guys come up with some fun stuff in your breakout rooms?
Or new ideas or new commitments?
Awesome. I know. It's an iterative process for us as teachers too. You know, like I love learning how other people are assessing so that I can step up my game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, reimagining PBL through online formats it's an interesting challenge because how do you resist going back to something that is comfortable where you're talking at people instead of like facilitating them including the doing of their own assessing. So it's an interesting challenge.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue, like with peer assessments. I use Google Classroom a lot, so students can connect with each other and see each other's work that way. So yeah,
have you guys heard of Flipgrid? Do you use Flipgrid?
Anybody out there, Flipgrid?
I just started using it this week. But it's like students can take a short video of themselves and like assess themselves and talk about how they did the work that they did, and then you could record a video response back. And so you see like all of your students' videos all at once, and you can
that's amazing.
make it private so that it's only you seeing it, or you could make it so that they can see each other's videos and comment and respond with video to each other's videos.
Yeah, it's cool. And even my daughter, who's in first grade, her teacher's having them use like I think Seesaw and Flipgrid and some other stuff like that. So it's intuitive to the younger kids. Like they start learning the software and just start using it. So
yeah,
there's almost a deconstruction you have to do with the older kids that you're working with.
I know, and with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the biggest learning for me has been, the idea of PBL is so in person, and how do we flip that into an online space for the time being? It's
or
challenging.
Create community, right?
Yep.
How do you create the collaboration and community that used to exist?
Totally.
Yeah, it's been interesting too, because like some of the equity things in a regular classroom like are being turned on their head. Like there's no preferential seating on Zoom. Everyone has a front row seat.
True.
So
there are these other like elements that are coming up where it's not just, hey, we have to fill this up with Band-Aids and whatever works, but we can start being creative and exploring what does the online format offer. There's teachers I know that are inviting like experts and professional athletes to come into their classrooms to talk to them.
Awesome.
And they're more willing to do it because they don't have to travel, even though San Diego's not a bad place to come, but they don't. It's not a huge commitment for them. I'm hearing like, and I get to engage with other colleagues and educators that have awesome stuff. I heard from another person the other day, just like these big ideas to get you to rethink and deconstruct education. Like all assessment is subjective, always has been. I was just like, okay, it's interesting,
but interesting thing to think about though, like super interesting thing to think about.
And I was like
when we were when we were designing this workshop, like there was one part where Randy was like, well, think about it, like all assessments weighs some things too much and some things too little from what we're actually trying to assess. So like like look at any assessment. I mean, the question that was asked earlier about like how do you get students to actually peer assess one another without just handing out each other A's. Like I think the work you were doing today, like in the thoughtful designing of what that looks like and walking through kids through, like how can I really assess so that I respect the assessments that I receive from my peers and that I'm honest with them, like the real work is what you guys were doing right now.
Totally. So folks have any questions that have come up and that we can attend to in the last couple minutes?
I think I'm good.
Thanks for sticking around to our like little discussion.
Thanks for sharing, you guys. It's just helpful to listen and hear your thoughts.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe.
That's awesome.
Thank you all.
Gabe,
so
what
much.
instrument is that on your back wall there?
Cigar box? Or
Sorry.
no? What is it? Oh no.
See, I don't know if the
Wait, say it again. Oh, you're muted.
It's a miniature version of a Morin kor, which is a Mongolian horsehead fiddle. It's a kind of 2-string violin played in Mongolia that you use with throat singing. It's really nice.
Oh,
That's
wow.
cool.
Wow.
Oh.
I collect a lot of things around here.
That's another thing that you get from these online meetings. You get a little peek into people's like spaces, you know, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Totally. Cool. All right. Well, Lisa, Vicky, it's awesome to see you guys. We will catch up
Hi,
soon.
Greg.
Hi.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, cool. And thank you so much for being here. Have a great week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and end. Or no, Carol,
Thank you
you're
so much.
you're in charge. You're so welcome, Vicky.
Bye, Vicky.
So good to see you.
Bye.
Connect
So good
soon.
to see you guys too.
Yeah.
Take care.
Carol, Chris, I
Bye.
love working with you guys. You guys are awesome.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise, Andrew.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was so fun.
All right. Signing off.
Take care, Greg.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Greg.